Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Get Out of Rap. Today, I'm joined by a friend of mine from Romania in Bucharest, and that's Alexandra Fus. And Alexandra is the operations manager at the Valoris Center in Bucharest. And we have been chatting and getting to know each other for a while now on LinkedIn and sharing tips and best practice backwards and forwards. But this is a Get Out of Rap first. This is the first guest from Romania. So, Alexandra, welcome.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and another pleasure to meet you.
The same. We were just saying we feel like we know each other because we're both passionate about the same things. We've been chatting backwards and forwards, and it's the power of LinkedIn and our kind of contact center community.
Exactly.
So how have you got to this position now? What's been your career to date?
Well, I've been working in Valoris for 15 years now, and the company is actually on the market for the same amount of years. So I've been working from the beginning, and it's
really,
yeah, it's a small catch here. I normally don't, let's say, promote it because from my perspective, it isn't an important detail, but for some, it's quite an interesting information. So I'm actually the founder's daughter.
Really?
And I did my internship as a call center agent here, both inbound, outbound, back office. I tried every type of service possible, and then grew up on the career ladder as a team leader, as a manager, operations manager. I'm also doing sales support and also in charge of special projects in the company. Yeah.
That's great. Because I expect if you tell people you're the founder's daughter, they expect that you've gone straight in at the top. But was it important for you to do as many roles as possible and to earn your way for your progression? So you started as an agent.
The important detail here is that I normally don't promote this. This information comes up. I don't really know from where. I think people around me are actually very enthusiastic about sharing this. It's like, that gossip that you cannot keep for yourself. Yeah. But I normally don't promote this because I instantly see in people's eyes and, of course, approach the thing that you are mentioning. The idea that I'm the founder's daughter, and of course I get everything for granted. Why do I bother even? Why do I bother promoting? Why do I bother learning and everything? Because I already have everything at my disposal. But that's completely wrong. I've actually had to deal with this throughout my entire career. And to be honest, it has never been easy to change the perception and change the opinions from me being the founder's daughter to being a professional. From having people to appreciate my results, my insight, rather than, my last name or my parents' name.
I think it's a really interesting point because I always find you meet people where they are. So I've met you based on your professionalism, enthusiasm, your interest in the industry, the things that you've shared and the insights that you've shared. You don't look at someone's name, but I guess from a perception point of view, and I know the company I work for, we have some family relationships in the company, and I've always thought that if you're the child or the second family member to come, that you're probably thinking, well, people will maybe want me to fail, or when I succeed, I'll have to do more than anyone else to prove that it's my own work and it's not because of who I'm related to, which is insane.
Exactly. And it has been a constant battle with myself, because let's say the challenges and the levels of expectations were, as you were mentioning, pretty much at the same level. So I had to impose to myself new objectives, new challenges to achieve, to overcome compensate and to overcome my results in order to prove, let's say, to the other people that I'm not just a relative, I'm a professional.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about. I want to achieve that, and we can achieve that together. But it is a constant battle. I have to admit that. It is, even now, it is tough to change perception from people, because of course they are subjective, no matter what you do.
You seem to have a nice balance, but I can imagine it's quite a nice fuel to have. It's quite a nice energy sometimes to kind of go, okay, I will continue to prove you wrong.
Yes, I'm, and another thing here, my colleagues and my ex-colleagues' feedback was always that I'm quite pushy, but this is, let's say, a side effect to the fact that, of course, I'm constantly pushing myself, constantly, of course, pushing everyone, because we need to achieve those targets. We need to prove that we are professionals, that we know what we're doing, and of course we're on top of our situation, right?
Yeah. And does that lead to something that we spoke about before hitting record? Has that been a reason why you could call yourself, and I love this phrase, a learning enthusiast?
Yeah, well, I actually love it too, and I love it because it's quite truthful. Considering the fact that for the past 15 years, I have never stopped looking for new information, never stopped learning. Every new account, every new business area, every new service that we provided was a new thing for me to learn. This kind of became like a constant thing, kind of became like my own value, to learn things, to understand and to know as much as possible about this area, and not only this area, about our partners' domain. And another thing here, so this type of profile, and this is actually an advice for anyone that's listening, it's quite useful for our vibe, right? For our brains, for our development, because if you constantly learn, you constantly challenge your mind, and of course you begin to be more happy with everything, personally and professionally, of course.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's great. When to take you right back then, when you were an agent, how has that experience helped you today?
Well, of course, being in the front line gives you access to the activity and everything that stands for. Yeah. So whenever you go on and take other roles, you can definitely manage them, and you can definitely perform, considering that you've seen firsthand the operation that you're currently managing, right? So this is the best, I don't know, the best lessons learned that you can possibly take. Just do it yourself, analyze everything up to the root cause, even talk to end users, or analyze the data, so you know exactly what you're talking about, and then you can take the right decisions.
That's great. And then from there, you did you say you were team leader as well?
Exactly. And as a team leader, I have to admit that it was the best role that I could ever have. I simply loved it. And I always said, and I will always say, that anytime, anywhere, no matter what happens, if I had to make a change, I would for sure take a team lead role. It was the best time that I had as a first line manager, let's say, but also keeping in touch with your people and with your operation.
Why did you love it so much? Why?
Because it's the perfect balance between people management, operation control, and a part of customer contact, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of team leader were you?
I was the kind of people person, team leader, but the pushy type. The pushy type to achieve everything, to not leave anything unhandled, untackled, a little bit of perfectionist, sometimes crazy, might some of my ex-colleagues might add, but overall people person, more of a leader than a manager.
And I know it's an area you're still passionate about, the kind of the team leader journey. What advice would you give to agents who are looking to become team leaders?
Very good question. Thank you, Martin, for that. Well, if you look at the standard operation, you have a limited number of team leaders to a certain number of agents. So that concludes to the fact that not everyone can be promoted to such a function. But for agents, I would recommend, first of all, know your business, know your activity, know everything there is to know about your client, about your service, get out of your comfort zone, right? And of course, be proactive. It doesn't matter if you have a boss that listens, or if you don't have one. You just need to achieve that, I don't know, let's say responsibility of sharing your insights, sharing your thoughts, because you're in the front line. You're hearing and identifying first points that can be improved, right? So you have, first of all, a responsibility to share it. And after that, of course, improve your skills. Take a mentor to help you guide you in your process. And again, have the courage to apply on the new positions in the company. Even if you get thousands of rejections, you will get that one approval, and that would make you super happy. And it will be worth it. Yeah.
Yes, that's very true. I certainly had a lot of I think there must have been people in HR going, oh no, there's another application from Martin.
Yeah, but that's perseverance. That's knowing what you want and going for it. I think we need to appreciate that more, you know?
Yes, definitely. And I love the idea of stepping outside of your comfort zone. So volunteer whenever you can. If there's anyone saying, does anybody want to, don't wait to the end of the sentence, just say yes.
Yes, exactly. It doesn't matter what they're saying, just say yes, I'm doing, no matter how scary it is or crazy it is, I know I can do it.
And so if you've just got the job of team leader, again, what would your advice be to becoming as good a team leader as you can?
Well, this question is tricky, Martin, because right now I'm thinking with my manager brain. So my first answer would be know your numbers, your finances, etc. But I think that's a manager's answer, right? I mean, It's a different role. If I would go back like maybe 10 years ago, I actually don't remember, it's been too much. The first thing would be to know your team, individual per individual, talk to them, find them out. Well, if we're assuming that you've been promoted from within the team, again, this is another important aspect. Discuss with every one of your colleagues to see and identify what's their opinion about your new role. How are they appreciating it? What are their expectations? Of course, to set some ground rules, and of course, for you to have some tips and tricks on how to proceed further. Because we know that ex-colleagues, especially when you're now leading them, are quite challenging, right? Another advice for new TLs would be, on the other hand, know your client, because you've known your client from an agent perspective, which is quite different than, let's say, management perspective.
Yeah, definitely. And that then lends itself to another passion of yours. When you talk about clients, you're passionate about the BPO sector. Why is that?
Well, I've been activating for 15 years in the BPO sector, and I can say with 100% certainty that it is a very dynamic industry. You never get bored. Even if you have the same operation, let's say over and over again, it is not really the same because there are different aspects to it. There are different profiles for end users. There are different industries, there are different clients that you work with. So you never get bored and you constantly learn. This is why this type of area develops you from start as an agent up to the top, to top management. And it's a career ramp up for any type of person without any experience that wants to develop professionally and wants to improve. So this is why I appreciate it so much. Another point would be that you get to work with a lot of people from different industries. You are not only providing, I don't know, customer service, you're actually becoming a brand ambassador for that partner, right? Because in the eyes of the end user, the outsourcer doesn't really exist. In their eyes, there's only the company, right? So in order for you and especially your operation to become a brand ambassador, you really need to go the extra mile to understand that business, that industry, right? So up until this point, after 15 years, I can say for sure that I've gotten into a lot of details for more than 20, 25 industries. And it's been very, very, very nice.
Have there been any that have been either challenging or really surprised you?
Challenging, I would say the less challenging industry is the delivery one, the on-demand delivery one, especially because of the context, the economical, let's say, and the social context due to the pandemic. This type of industry exploded during the pandemic and before, but it was quite at the, let's say, beginning. So again, it continues to be very challenging. It fluctuates a lot, and you constantly need to reinvent yourself and your entire operation. But on the other hand, on a positive note, I will always have in my heart, of course, my first project where I was an agent, I was a team lead, I also was a manager in the financial industry. I simply loved it so much that I actually memorized the whole contract. And I'm not kidding. I used to memorize, I used to know all the articles from that contract and recite it to agents or to my colleagues. Everybody was stunned.
I can still remember the script of I worked in financial services as an agent, and we would store cards, so like a credit card, but the additional services that came with it, I can still remember the list of them and the benefits that the customer got. So, but I didn't go as far as memorizing the whole contract.
Yeah, I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but I was simply in love. Yeah, I was in love with it. The service was mostly a customer support one for mostly leasing services, right? So there were a lot of inquiries related to monthly invoices, insurances, and of course, additional support campaigns. But it was amazing. I will always have it in my heart.
And the industry that kind of surprised you?
Well, this would be the electricity industry. There, the support was mainly focused on incidents, of course, where the volumes, the activity was exploding literally whenever I don't know, electric pole was going down or there was a general outbreak in a neighborhood. That was again very hard and very difficult to tackle because, of course, you are familiar with the split of hours, shifts per agent. So that was a real challenge for us.
This kind of, you said something earlier that I loved, which was around this having to constantly change, reinvent yourself. That isn't that, and that's quite addictive though, isn't it? That kind of the pace and having to change. And then when you're in periods of more stability, it's very easy to get bored.
Exactly. But you know what's the thing here, Martin? Not everybody can do it, right? Not everybody can keep that pace. Not everybody can keep with the pressure and everything. But once you get a hand on it, and once you get the rhythm, you simply just pick up the rewards from wherever you go.
And can you, I know this is probably a silly question, and you can't really, but can you just give us a flavor of what it's like, the call center industry in Romania? Yes, how much of your work is outside of Romania? How much of it is internal? And is it very competitive? I'm just interested, I'm fascinated by another market.
Yeah, well, Romania is not such a big country. It has roughly 18 million in population. But the BPO industry is quite developed, especially in support for the western part of Europe, but not only. Also, US is very interested in outsourcing here. But overall, the outsourcing industry is quite developed here because Romanians are very skillful in terms of foreign languages, close to native actually, and also in terms of professional or technical skill set. So on one hand, you have the language skill set on Romanic languages. Of course, English is like the second, almost native, the second language for everybody here. And also you have a lot of people that have high skill set in IT support, in any type of back office support, because of a high percentage of the population finishes college or professional development trainings, right? So this is why this is a very good destination for outsourcers, and also especially because of the costs, right? It is a location that provides a balance between costs and skills for resources.
That's great. And if you're leaving college, does the contact center industry, is it quite appealing, or is here, I think sometimes it has a negative perception and not many people choose to go into a call or contact center. How is it in Romania?
Well, in Romania, actually, most young people choose to go and get hired in a BPO, in a call center, from within college, not after finishing it. It's the first destination for most youngsters because they don't have experience, and we know that the initial roles don't actually require experience. It's actually our motto in Valoris that we don't require experience, we actually offer experience, right? The perception here is that a role in a call center is a beginner's role. It's not a long-term role. It's not something from where you're going to get out to your pension, but it's an intermediate role where you gain experience that will manage or will allow you to access other roles in your area or in what you want to develop yourself.
That's great, because I think it's recognizing where contact centers can provide something for the person over and above some of the usual things that we will say, which is flexible shifts, competitive pay. It's more about positioning it where people are in their career, right? And so can I ask about where you guys are at now then with the pandemic? Are people working from home or back in the contact center, half and half?
I actually had this discussion with my colleague from HR last week, and we've actually analyzed a little bit the spreads of our employees. It's very interesting that right now, after the pandemic, we are actually at 50% full telework employees and 50% in a hybrid model. So us in Valoris, here in Romania, we have 3 hubs. One, of course, is in the capital, Bucharest, which is the headquarters. Another hub in the eastern part of the country, in a city, a very big city called Bacău, and another hub in the center of the city called Vâlcea. So for our employees that actually live in these cities, we have agreed on a hybrid model, a mixed one. But for the other 50% of our employees, which actually work from other locations in Romania, they are full telework.
And how about yourself? What do you prefer?
Well, I'm an exception here because I live very close to work. I do roughly 7 minutes. So I have actually went to the office a lot during the pandemic. Also considering the fact that I have 2 small kids and it is impossible to work with them at home. At some time, I have to share that the kindergarten, of course, when there was a lockdown, they implemented a model of online kindergarten, and that particular interval was crazy. I had to work and I had to stay with them in online kindergarten. It was an experience, I can state that, but I wouldn't want to repeat it anytime soon.
My children are a little bit older, so I found myself getting too involved in their schoolwork. I started to become like another teacher.
A substitute teacher?
Yeah, but one that they didn't want or need.
Yes, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. I was actually super happy when the kindergartens opened. And then I started to shift to working from the office because the environment made me much more efficient, I have to admit.
And what would you say around, I know for one how busy you are, and you're very driven around helping others, about the sector, about your own sort of development. How do you find kind of prioritization and time management? Do you have any tips or anything that you rely on to make sure you stay on top of everything?
For people in management roles, of course, the classic advice, but it is applicable in any type of situation, is delegate, delegate, delegate. And then control and offer support. If you get into that challenge, let's say, of doing a lot of things yourself, you're going to miss out on a lot of aspects of your operation, a lot of aspects of your team's performance. And that's a recipe of failure, unfortunately, right? But to answer your question, there isn't a fixed recipe, right? So you need to adapt constantly. There isn't really, that's the reality, because every type of team is different, every type of operation is different. So the main points and the main skills that you need to have is, of course, patience, adaptability, and flexibility. Also taking into account to have awareness, be aware of what's happening near you, be aware of what your team is doing, constantly communicate, and then you will have access to all the information you need, and you'll have the visibility required to coordinate successfully your operation.
Very wise, and I love that. I'm going to steal that phrase. There's no fixed recipe. It's brilliant. You always have to work with the ingredients you've got, right?
Exactly.
I know you're also, and again, we mentioned this before hitting record, but you're also, as well as operations, responsible for special projects. And I know that project management is also another passion. What is it about that that you enjoy so much?
So I recently finished my PMI accreditation, Project Management Institute accreditation. And by taking the course and studying all the principles there, I became more and more fascinated into doing project management, let's say the right way, right? The technical way. So we all have instincts on how to coordinate projects. We all can adapt and take decisions based on what we have. But honestly speaking, knowing the technicalities and the theories and having some resources at your disposal can go the extra mile, can save you a lot of time in implementing and adopting the right solution for your service. So this is why I love project management so much, because it's it's a lot technical and also very clear on what you need to do and on the directions that you need to take.
So you're saying that kind of the application of some of the theories has helped shape the kind of natural drive that you might have to get something done, or better understand people that you're working with. That, because I know from an operations background, I think I drove a few project managers mad because I didn't want to do updates and things. I didn't want to do a lot of the things that they wanted. I just wanted to get things done. But I think experience has taught me a better understanding of what they were doing meant a better result in the end.
Yes, I agree. And I understand what you mean. I've been there. The idea is, I don't know, a recipe to success, to be a balanced professional in your area of expertise is not only to, let's say, have talent, to have that instinct, but also to have the knowledge. One without the other kind of doesn't help you in achieving your goals. So you need to have balance between your instincts and talents, and of course your skill set, right? Your trainings, your information.
What's next for you that excites you? So you kind of do accreditation for project management, you're doing projects, you're still running operations. What's next? What's the next thing that's got you excited in the future?
The next thing is that right now, Valoris, I can actually say this officially, and I've also shared it on LinkedIn. We've gone as a multinational this month. We've launched in Serbia.
Oh, great.
As we speak, there is the first training for our first client there. So this was very, very interesting. We actually implemented this new hub in roughly 3 months, the first new hub in a different country. And even though it was challenging, I simply loved it. So the next step for me is to help the company develop internationally and to develop the company's geographical footprint, because this is the next best thing that also was or is much more achievable due to the post-pandemic conditions. So what I mean by that is that right now it's much more approachable to launch new hubs with a normal budget in different countries, right? So this is my new point. This is my new challenge, and I simply can't wait for me and the team to expand everywhere.
Really?
This is my dream, to expand everywhere. Yes.
Why not? And if I think you absolutely can do it. You've evidenced that already today.
Thank you.
Today, did you spend any time in Serbia?
Yes, I've been there in several occasions. First of all, of course, to discuss with our consultancy firm, of course, to select the location of our hub. And I'm going to go there I believe, in 2 weeks, just to meet the new employees and to get the vibe of the training and their profile and everything.
That's great. And you said that the pandemic has kind of opened up other locations. What do you mean by
What
that?
do I mean?
Yes.
So before the pandemic, it was quite, let's say, expensive to open new hubs, also in your country, but also abroad, because you needed bigger budgets, you needed physical desk and everything. So the decision to expand like that was pretty complicated. But right now, considering the work from home model, you need smaller spaces, you just need them to be highly accessible. And of course, you need very good processes for all departments in order to, of course, manage and maintain the new add-ins in your company. But it is much more accessible. And of course, as I was mentioning before, with on-hand budget.
Yeah, very, very true. You mentioned something very early on about the importance of mentors. Do you mentor anyone?
Yes, yes. I have to be honest that I've tried to mentor every person in my team, in my teams, actually. Again, to be honest, not everyone appreciated it. But yes, I contributed, and I'm actually very proud about this, because I contributed to the professional development of a lot of people, both within the company and also for people that are right now either working for our clients or in the other industries. This is a thing that we can be very proud of. It's like teachers that actually teach kids and grow them, right? The same with us, because we mentor them, we help them develop, and then we see exactly where they're going and their achievements, and we take pride of that.
Yeah,
right?
Completely. I think in a very small way, I've really, I say small because it's only been until now by typing to each other on LinkedIn, but I've definitely benefited from knowing you, and I would recommend, if people aren't, that they connect with you on LinkedIn, because I found just the way you conduct yourself and your whole sort of story is very inspirational. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you too, Martin. Thank you too. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alexandra.
You too.